Live from the TGRF newsroom, it is the GRF Nightly News with all the news you can use. And here is your host, the host with the most, the best in the business, the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. Thank you, announcer man. Of course, as the announcer man said, I am the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And yes, indeed, you out there in internet land, all of you, thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks on Live from the GRF newsroom, because we got the nightly news for you, and we got that business about Zeku, and we will go to our correspondent, homie, not homie, Andy Wong, straight from Calcom Unity in a minute. However, because we do what we do around here, is I have a little history lesson, because I really feel that it really didn't fit with the reveal trailer yesterday. But more of, as we learn about what Zeku can do, maybe this would probably be the perfect point to front load you guys about some history about the art of Bushinryu and how things are supposed to work and why they are the way they are now and why Zeku is in the building and can't be back, because of how important Zeku is to the movement of Bushinryu Ninpo. The story goes like this. I don't know if maybe you've heard of this, because you may have heard this sip off God's lips once or twice. You may have heard this in the Final Fight games. You may have played Street Fighter Alpha 2, and it's mentioned very heavily in the ending. There is only one very important rule of Bushinryu style Ninpo. There can only be one master at a time, and in order for you to beat a master, you've got to kill the master. So, in other words, to quote Ric Flair, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! And that is the rule of Bushinryu style Ninpo, right? Zeku is a history making man when it comes to Bushinryu style Ninpo, because when it was Zeku's turn to become the 38th Grandmaster of Bushinryu Ninpo, he spared Genryusai's life. And Genryusai, you may be familiar with him if you play Final Fight 2, because he was kidnapped along with Guy's girlfriend, and the whole point of that game was Maki and Carlos, who we haven't seen since Capcom Fighting Jam, and had to go all around the world pimping and beating things up until they get to Retu, and then, things happen. At some point during this, Zeku becomes the 38th Grandmaster of Bushinryu style Ninpo. It isn't really understood or sure if or when this happened, but I am assuming this happened long before Final Fight 2 and Genryusai was just chilling, because Zeku was the first person to spare a master's life instead of killing them by becoming the Grandmaster without killing the person that came before you. So he beat the man, but he didn't kill the man. Woo, right? So that happened. This then continued when God became the 39th Grandmaster at the end of Street Fighter Alpha 2, when he defeated Zeku, and Zeku then stepped down, which leads into what is Street Fighter 5. Now, there are a couple of other little things that you can include in this, and some of this is non-canon and some of this is fun, but it's worth mentioning. Maki in Street Fighter Alpha 3 is trying to become Grandmaster number 40, and it goes as well as you think in Street Fighter Alpha 3, because Guy has to end up saving her from Bison, but that's a thing, and you really honestly have to really question the canonicity of the characters added in Capcom vs. SNK 2 to Street Fighter Alpha 3 and how that ultimately functions within the Street Fighter universe. So there's that information. There's also what I thought for years was some complete weird mistranslation, which was cleared up a couple of months ago thanks to the CFN with Hokuto. Hokuto is actually herself a Bushinryu style Ninpo user, but because that's in the universe of Street Fighter EX, you have to really question how much actual canon it is, and if it's canon to actual Street Fighter, because of the way that the CFN is blending all of these things and trying to find the status of what canon works when, where, and how, it could be possible Hokuto could become a real factor when it becomes to Bushinryu. But for right now, is that in the world of Street Fighter EX, she is a master of Bushinryu and technically a stand-in for guy who hasn't been mentioned at any point or any time, and it could be something having to do that she could possibly be related to Maki or Genryusai somehow, but again, without that information, no one knows. The fun thing, however, is Sho from Captain Commando, because depending on how you wish to consider what canon is, to consider what definitely is non-canon, you can deal with this one of two ways. It is mentioned that Sho ultimately becomes the Grandmaster of Bushinryu at some point. Know this. Captain Commando takes place in an alternate 2015. So it is very possible in a world with super villains that have superpowers within themselves, and you got a baby in a mech suit, a mummy, a ninja, and a dude with a powered suit who can sit up here and do the best assist in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that possibly God could have existed in that universe and been succeeded by Sho. It is completely possible in some alternate canon. I cannot believe that Captain Commando, given that logic, is actually canon to Street Fighter. Even I have to sit up here and look at that like, nah, that's not a thing, bruh. No. However, the fun thing, Namco Cross Capcom actually makes reference to this because Guy and Sho are actually partners in Namco Cross Capcom, and their whole story is Sho is currently training another guy, and he will ultimately become the master ultimately, and that is how the story plays. That and they team up attack is like really cool, especially when the rest of the commandos come in. So here's an idea. Go play Namco Cross Capcom. They have an English translation. I hear buzz in the streets that somebody is bettering that translation, but it's been a while since I've heard anything. But Namco Cross Capcom is a wonderful RPG full of dumb, ignorant, stupid fan service that I love, 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 love. And Project Cross Zone and Project Cross Zone 2 are equally dumb, 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 full of lovely, sexy fan service that I indeed love, love, love as someone who appreciates video games as I do. So, let us review this history before we get in, before we send it over to Andy Wong. Let's remember this. Oh, actually, before we go into, actually, you know what? I can wrap that up into the recap. Remember, I talked about Maki in Street Fighter Alpha 3, right? In the ports of Street Fighter Alpha 3, those being the GBA and Double Up on PSP, right? At some point, Genryusai dies, but since Zeku spared him, and we have already established that as canon, the dude was like mad old in Final Fight 2 when New Mad Gear led by Retsu snatched him up anyway. So he just probably died of old age, because how you gonna be the pursuing new master? You like 95 years old. You really gonna karate kick somebody? He probably could beat you up without even moving because he's a master of Bushinryu, but I'm just saying, let's just put that out there. Genryusai is nice and dead because at least that portion we know of Maki's story is canon. That is completely canon to Street Fighter, that Genryusai is dead, that Zeku took over, ultimately passed it to Guy, and Guy's currently the master. That is the hierarchy. Maki at some point was trying to chase Guy, but since we haven't heard for real neither hot nor her of Maki since Street Fighter Alpha 3 in that instance, and the games don't really make too much mention of her when it at least comes to Street Fighter 4, but we don't know what's really up with Zeku in Street Fighter 5, so you really never know if you get that mention. And because we talked a little bit about what Season 3 is, maybe, I don't know if this is a game with Zeku, or if this is a game where Maki could fit in, a game where Maki could be, but I would love to see her just as much as I would love to see Capcom vs. SNK 3, but that game is called Street Fighter Cross Tekken if you squint your eyes a little bit and breathe really hard. Anywho, don't also remember, in alternate canon land where Captain Commando is a canonical thing, Sho ultimately becomes the next Bushinryu master taking over after Guy at some point, because that game takes place in an alternate 2015 in Metro City. I forgot to mention that point, so I'm mentioning it now. It's important for history reasons, and now you know that. We also mentioned Hokuto, that she also is a user of Busen Ryu, mixed with a whole bunch of stuff, which I said again a long time ago and for years before the final clear up, thanks to the CFN and the Lord God Akira Nishitani clearing that up for everybody, that she is a master of Busen Ryu. I always thought that it was a mistranslation of something, and I always thought that for years, but that information that's been on the internet since 1996 is legit information, so it is what it is with that. So, with all of those things being said, I think with that cover story taken care of, we are going to technically send it over to Andy Wong, but I will be speaking for him because he don't work for us, nor do we pay him, and nor will we ever pay him because we at Team GRF, or at GRF TV, we don't care. But we thank you for the information and news. So, speaking on behalf of Andy Wong is the one and only Triple to G.O.D. And I will send it now to the field to the one and the only the Triple to G.O.D. Triple, thank you, man. We are live right here in the middle of Capcom Unite. Capcom Unite, with all the news you can use about Street Fighter V's final Season 2 participant, that being Zeku, the ever-changing ninja, and he'll be infiltrating Street Fighter V on October the 24th. So we're going to take it straight to the board. We're going to sit up here and let you know what's really good with my man Zeku, and we're going to get to work. So how about that? Zeku, the last character in Season 2, will officially leap into Street Fighter V on October 24th. Learn more about the ever-changing ninja after the jump. Whee! Jump. First seen in Street Fighter Alpha 2, Zeku was Guy's former teacher who taught him to master Bushin Ryu, a style of ninjutsu. Eventually, Guy was able to obtain the title of the 39th Master of Bushin Ryu. Zeku then disappeared and was never seen again. Until now. Zeku has reappeared looking to start his own ninja group and to find a new fighting style. His younger version sure looks familiar, however. For players who want to learn the art of Zeku, it'll require intense training to hone his multiple skill sets due to his ability to transform. And I did actually make mention of this, trying to straight guess about what happened when I made a reference to Ome and Otane from Power Instinct and go play Power Instinct. You'll thank me later. Anywho. Where was I? Oh, here we go. His older self has slower moves and a special flip in the air, which can be followed up with different options to keep the opponent guessing. His younger self is quicker and has a short run, which can also open up opponents. And there are a whole bunch of pictures that look like he chopped the things out of Akuma, kicked him real hard, and kicked him real hard some more. Now, his V skill is for Kuro for his older self and Tempo Kari for his younger self. Now, according to the information, Zeku performs a special technique that transforms him to his younger self, completely changing his moveset. He can then use Tempo Kari to transform back. Depending on the directional input after the V skill connects, Zeku will either teleport in the front or behind his opponent. So his V skill is to change stances. So this is some getting stuff right here. I'm like, that's the only character I can really be analogous to with a game in Street Fighter with stances that really legitimately matter, and that of course being Gen. Like, I do wonder, looking at this, is this really going to be a Gen issue? Because see, here's the truth about Gen in Street Fighter 4. If you didn't master both Crane and Mantis, you had no mastery of the character. That was the beginning, middle, and end of that. It was the same in Street Fighter Alpha, is that when he had his stances, is that you needed to know what happened in both of those stances, and your failure to would make you a waste of a Gen character. It's that simple. Given, like, what it is that I saw in the trailer, and given what it is here, is that you gonna really find Zeku players, like really, really great Zeku players, learning to use Fukuro and Tempo Kari in conjunction with switching offense at will. You know what I'm saying? Because you gonna find it's gonna be some really, really good Zeku players that once everybody get over the initial ooh whole new character, you gonna really see some really, really beautiful play from knowing that because V skills are cancelable in most instances, and this is probably an instance of where I don't know if you are going to be able to do combos that go from one technical stance to the other. But it would be interesting to see like a long, elongated combo where you go from one stance to the other and then end in another stance. And given how that move works, it is very possible. But again, at the same time, it ends in a knockdown. So I don't know much about that because this is a game, while it has OTG to a degree, I don't really know how much OTG potential that Zeku actually has. But to think about that, this could possibly be a game where Zeku could have that kind of information because remember, when Arcade Edition comes out, this character, along with the rest of his castmates, are going to have a second V-skill. So then, that puts you in an instance where this character could become anything, as the rest of the cast. And it's not like it's a scary thing. Don't be scared of it. No, it's more of an understanding that what we're looking at now isn't, it's subject to change. How about that? That right now, that you only have this option. And this is a wonderful and beautiful option. But knowing that this option can and will change because you will have a second option, it will completely open up the character and really honestly open up the rest of the cast. And I really felt that I needed to take this time to really discuss what having a second V skill and V trick and all that is going to do for this video game by opening it up. But again, I want to see some dumbness with this character. Like with a V skill like that, I want dumbness. I want insanity. I want combos that transform to one form to another. Handle your business, internet. I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, we know initially the boy Dex, he gonna clown. Then once Dex clown, then I'm expecting you other lab monsters to get to work. That is what I expect from you. The OG in his rocking chair is expecting you to put in this work. So do me a favor. When Zeku come out next week, put in this work. Anywho, his V trigger is the Bushinryu Shingekiko. This allows Zeku to perform a single special dash that can be followed up with a custom combo that deals additional hits. Both forms have this same V trigger. Okay. That's interesting. A dash that has a custom combo. So I'm wondering, is this like Guy's Bushin chains? Because if you don't know, Guy, 4 years, has had a special chain of attack called Bushin chains. And the Bushin chains work really similar to the video game that invented the chain for you, and that game is called Darkstalkers. Pay homage, please. And they worked very similar. Like in Alpha, because of Alpha's more, faster pace and more, I really don't know how to really describe like what Alpha is in that instance, but it ain't like no other Street Fighter, and there has been no other Street Fighter since like the games in the Street Fighter Alpha series. And it's like Guy could just sit up here and push the buttons and things would happen, just like if you were playing Darkstalkers. I have to wonder because it's like I took like a peek at like Zeku's move list, but I really didn't look at it because I really didn't think I would go this depth with it. But if you give me a moment, because see now you have piqued my interest, Zeku. So let's find this move list because I saw it early on the front page of SRK. So that's where I saw that because it was in my Facebook feed or whatever. So let me see here. Alright, because they got the stuff here. I'm pulling it up. This is what y'all get. Y'all shouldn't give me this power, because when you do, you're gonna allow me to explore my mind and put in this work. Wow. Huh? Okay, I'm glad I pulled this up because it seems that he can actually transform by pressing by doing the command of down down 2 punches. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Wow, that's nuts. See, that's not mentioned in the Capcom Unity thing. I'm glad I pulled this up. I'm like, I'm interested now. So he can transform. He can transform with the move, but the V skill guarantees it. You leaving yourself open to transform when you press down, down, and 2 punches. Okay. Okay. Zeku got kicks. What? He got horizontal? Damn. Wow. He got horizontal. That's one of my favorite guy moves, dog. I love horizontal, dog. Okay. Okay, so Zeku is kind of like Karin a little bit, right? Like, cause you know how when Karin activates her V trigger, she gets all those Kanzuki Ryu stuffs or whatever. It's similar to that because when you teleport, he can either do. Okay, let me see, cause I'm looking at this. Okay, you can do this and then during Idaten. What move is that? Is there like a complete move list for this character? Like for real? Like, cause I'm looking at this and I'm like, because let me see. Hold up. Because I'm finna take a look at his move list real quick. Okay. So let's see. V skills. Okay. Okay. So during an Indotin or an Indotin attack. Okay, this is young form right here because I'm just scrolling through the move list. I'm trying to see what I can see here. Okay, Idaten is the command dash. Okay, so you activate Bushin Ryu Shingeko, and that gives you and that activates V trigger, and then V trigger gives you the dash, and then the dash leads into your combos or whatever. So, so it's activate V trigger, Idaten the dash, and then you can do a chain, and then you can finish with that, and you can finish with that flip kick. Okay. I'm with you. I'm with you now. See, it took me a second to, you know. Let me see, because I'm just looking at this just to double check what it is that I'm looking for. Okay, now I understand. Now that I've looked at it again, it's in his old and young form. His old form, he gets the Bushin Bakujasho, and that's just like that's just a big old palm strike or whatever. Put some distance in you, and then in his young form he gets the Bushin Siru Kikaku, and that's the flash kick. So you activate Idaten, and then you do your super move after that. So they sitting up for the way they was initially talking on Capcom Unity, like he had like chains out of it, and he does not. So good way to report the news, boys. Damn, just leave a boy on shook, but. I'm looking at his young form move list. He got plenty of them Bushin chains home. Like, wow. Like, that's nuts. I love it. That's nuts. That's like really, really nuts. I'm like, I said yesterday, I'm going to play this character. And tonight, I'm like, I'm going to play this character. Because this character's a beast. I'm like, the character ain't made a move on the screen yet. I ain't even played the character. I ain't bought the character. I ain't done nothing. I'm a Zeku main now. Like, Like, I don't know, like, if I ever made the character in Street Fighter 5, but I'm like, because as a fan of Guy and always being a fan of Guy, but not really like giving the time to really learn Guy for real, but just being impressed by what he can do, I really think Zeku was a way for me to like really like understand like what Guy was and Guy is as a character as you control him in his young form. So that's kind of dope. That's kind of dope that I'm getting that throwback in there. But yo, this looks sick. It's like, I really don't think that it's going to come down to a balance thing, because I really think that this is a character where you need to know both stances. It's like Vega is another example. Vega is another example of claw and no claw, where understanding that you can do in and out at will, but understanding that you need to know what your options are in both stances will make you a better character. So, you know, I'm glad that I sat up here, took time out of your busy schedule to look that up, because I am interested, definitely show, and it's all good. So let me, because I'm looking at the gift now. So, okay, now I understand. Because I went and looked at the GIF again for the FIFA for the Bushin Ryu Shingekiko is that when you teleport, you do get a custom combo, as it says, where you can just sit up here and just press chains of buttons and then put in work, and then you can end it with one of those two moves by activating V trigger after that. Okay, so now I'm completely 150,000,000% with you now. See, look at that. See, when you get together and you know, get your reading comprehension game up and sit up here and confuse yourself by reading more information than you actually need, you understand what it is that you're actually looking for. Helping me help you help yourself. A triple to G.O.D. staple, and you better know. Alrighty, moving right along. Critical art. Batsuzan Gaisei. Upon kicking the opponent to the air, Zeku followed with a furious strike while switching forms before stomping him into the ground. Zeku's critical art is the same in both forms, and we saw this in the trailer, and he sat up here and sat Indian style on Miss Karn, and it's just like, disrespect. D-I-S respect. When you sit Indian style on your opponent, disrespect. I always thought the Mexican Typhoon was like a dumb move, because T-Hawk could just sit on you and hit you with the disrespectful. But you know, something, I could really do something racist, but I won't. But the point is, when you sit up here and sit Indian style on your opponent, it's disrespectful. Beginning, middle, and end. Alrighty. Cause coming along, Zeku was or his story battle in costumes when he come out on October 24th, and I'm like, yo, this stuff is nuts. And Strider costumes. The thing I always wanted for guys Zeku has. Internet, let me tell you something. Zeku is not Strider, hear you. It could be legitimately possible that Street Fighter could be drawing some future reference to Strider Hiryu being a master of Bushinryu. It could be possible. There are no pieces of information in Strider's canon or history that would lead to that. But if Capcom want to do it, go right ahead. Because remember, I said it. That when they did all the silhouettes before they revealed Akuma, I was like, I thought that was Strider anyway. So I don't know if Capcom heard a whole bunch of people or whatever, but I'm like, Strider Hiryu. I'm just like, I'm glad that they set up her and did that. I'm like, it was kind of what I was hoping that Ultra Street Fighter 4 would have had before it ended its DLC plans, or just a big old costume pack of Street Fighter characters cosplaying as other Capcom characters. You really would have think they would have got that. You really would have thought that they may have brought the cross costumes from Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Didn't happen, because you know, I always thought that that Cammy King outfit was pretty cute. Just putting it out there. Just saying. Just putting it out there for the one time. I'm just saying. I put that out there. I'm just letting you know. But this is just nuts. It's like seeing Strider in Street Fighter is just like, hey, mind blowing. Because see, remember, once upon a time, there was this game called Capcom Fighting All Stars, and That's probably as much about the story as you need to know. As much about the story as I'm willing to tell, and about as much as you're willing and need to know. So it is what it is with that. So let's go down a little bit. Unlike those costumes, speaking of, the Season 2 Character Pass is available for $29.99, $29.99 in pounds, and $29.99 in, other European bucks. And will grant pass holders with all 6, count them, Akuma, Colin, and Abigail, and Wisdom of Thought. I'm sorry, Manat. I'm sorry. Let's call her by her name, Manat. And Zeku, who is probably Strider Hiryu in your imaginary canonical dreams. And that includes premium battle costumes and all the colors and stuff, so you don't have to earn them in that stupid survival mode, which I've never played and probably never will, because survival mode where you have to win 100 battles to unlock colors is stupid. I'm like, yo, I will admit, yeah, back in the day when I had time, I was willing to fight 200 survival battles in the King of Fighters 2001 to unlock Ignis as a playable character. Even though you unlock Ignis as a playable character, he isn't playable in that mode. Because see, if there was a way, and I probably need to investigate this, because I have been thinking about this a lot, because I've been playing the King of Fighters 2000 on PS4 for like the past couple of days, and I've just randomly been thinking about, like, when I get a chance to get back to KOF and reviewing that stuff, about trying to find a way to find like a character replacement code to play as Ignis and just sit up here and completely dominate that mode. I'm like, when I did it the first time, it took me about a month of trying to grind it out. Because the problem with that mode is that you can't pause it. The only time, because you only get a break the first time you meet an objective, because every time you meet an objective and the game gives you a new objective to tell you what you unlock, is that the game will stay on that screen until you hit a button to proceed. The game has no pause function in that mode. So I'm like, if they get around to putting King of Fighters 2001 on PS4, it'd be nice just to hit the PlayStation button and be like, I don't want to do that right now. So it is what it is with that. I figure that, I give you a little bit of my history. But equally as such, it's trying to beat 99 characters in the King of Fighters 2000, which is a trophy in that game. But you might as well just leave the game on for 40 hours, because, leave the game on for 40 hours. But if you really finna leave a PS4 on for 40 hours, for real, like, at least on PS2, you could take the disc out. You know what I'm saying? You could take the disc out. You know what I'm saying? Just leave it running for a couple of days while you at school. I did that to unlock stuff in Street Fighter Alpha 3 on PS1. I'm willing to admit that, but then I still end up beating World Tour mode anyway. So it's just kind of like, why did I leave it on that long? And then there was also unlocking Soul Edge and Soul Blade, and you gotta play the game for 24 hours to unlock that, and it's just like whoop-de-doo. You know what I'm saying? Like whoop-de-doo. But I'm glad we can have this little mini talk about leaving video games on, which is completely non-existent about Zeku, Shinryu, Street Fighter 5, or anything entirely, because this is my newscast. I can do whatever I want, and I dare you to stop me. Or something like that. But yeah, you get a theme or whatever when you buy the season pass or something. Really quickly, I would say at this point, given what they say Arcade Edition gonna be when it come back out on disc, if the season pass for season 1 go on sale again for $10 or less than that, buy it. Because I thought it was gonna be something else, and the Ring of Destiny stage probably ain't never coming back. That would probably be the one reason I would go buy Arcade Edition. Because I remember a couple weeks ago, I was screaming like I was going to do it. But then I had $10. I'm like, I'll go buy the Season 1 characters. I want to play some Jury or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know she like the weakest character in the game last time I heard something. But, it's Jury Han. You know what I'm saying? She's a psychopathic lesbian. What about that sentence? Is anything in there I do not like? You know what I'm saying? But we going to see about Arcade Edition. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see about that. But Regardless, I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for another installment of Triple the Gas Piece on live from the GRF Newsroom. We be back here in the AM because, you know, tomorrow some stuff come out for that Marvel Infinite. And I figured, you know what I'm saying, with the information gathered in the streets, we could have a little smaller conversation and take a look at some costumes and take a look at what's up with Black Panther, Sigma, and probably that's going to be the future of the game Monster Hunter, because from what I've seen in various videos and stuff, that girl is a beast. That's beast mode. Beast mode. I like what I see with Monster Hunter. I'm like, I kind of thought, like, you know, I was still kind of mad about the Dase Monster Moon thing. Now I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, all is forgiven. Well, not all is forgiven. Like, Date could still probably appear in this game later, but it probably won't be before Jean or Asura. One could only hope that Jean, Asura, and Nina, that's what the street's screaming right now. That's what they want. New characters, that's what they want. So we'll see. All in all, regardless of how many tangents I went on and how I made you listen to me look at a move list and try to describe it to you, is I love what Zeku is on. I love what this is completely about. This is a great character. Like, Stan's characters aren't normally my thing. Like, the closest I've ever got to, like, even getting into Stan characters that have stances and stuff is Zhao Yu and Tekken and Voldo and Soul Calibur. But, you know, Voldo is a different thing entirely. And Ling Xiaoyu, all she has is all the Phoenix, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Like, Lily has back stances and stuff like that, but I really don't get into stance characters. Like, I tried to, like, understand what Gen was about when I was younger and was into, like, Alpha 3 and stuff like that, trying to understand what Gen was about. I just ended up going back to Ken, because I'm like, that's kind of straightforward. Quarter circle forward and the punt button does a fireball. I can get with that, because my puny little teenage brain can't understand this, bruh. It is what it is with that. But yeah, I'm interested in this character because, you know what I'm saying, like I said, as a guy fan, like, Zeku was pressing all them buttons like, yo, I'm with this. I'm with this, and it's like, and like I said, we gonna gather to talk about, like, what Season 3 is before it come out and try to figure out what's going on with the Capcom Pro 2 and all that old dumb stuff, and whether or not you should buy, like, $30 worth of DLC to support something you may or may not believe in or something weird like that. But it is what it is. So, how about we do this instead? Like, let's try this. How about I turn this into a video now? I hope you guys learned something. I front-loaded the history in the front of it. So if nothing else, the first 10 minutes of this is some news you can actually use about the history of this character and why they matter and why they're important. And the rest of this stuff is stuff you can read on your own if you want. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad I front-loaded it. And I did that on purpose. That was an actual thought that went into that. You're welcome. Go ahead and get up out of here, man. You know what it is. The one and the only, the Triple the G.O.D. live from the GRF Newsroom. I'd like to thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks on live from the GRF Nightly News. And with all of that being said, I will holler at you guys next time. Peace out.